Hello, and welcome to Clocking In, Labor and Employment News for Government Contractors. My name is Nicole Attall, and I'm here with my partner,
Sarah Nash.
And today we're going to be talking about I-9 re-verification. I know, so exciting. We're so excited.
Everyone's favorite topic.
Right, I know. A number of clients have asked us about this recently, so we thought it might be a good thing to remind everyone that headline, if you don't listen to anything else today, listen to this. If you inspected any documents remotely during COVID, you have until August 30th to physically inspect and re-verify your I-9s. So Sarah, what's this all about?
So as you all might know, when the COVID pandemic started, however many years ago, USCIS created an exception for companies who were in a position where they couldn't necessarily meet with employees in person to inspect those I-9 documents. So they created an exception that's sort of been extended over the years through notices, giving employers a little bit of flexibility in that you could inspect these I-9 records remotely, which is generally a no-no. Generally, they require in-person inspection. So recently, about a month or so ago, USCIS created basically a notice that said you have to go back and inspect all those in person now. Took everyone a little bit by storm. Weren't particularly expecting it, just given a lot of the flexibility over the COVID years. But that exception to be able to inspect documents remotely is no longer in place.
Right. And the thing that's always kind of vexed federal contractors is that a lot of federal contractors have a remote workforce, right? So it's not unlike other industries that might have remote workforces. And the question is, well, how do we do this? Sometimes we don't even have a project manager on site. That project manager might be located in Virginia and the work is done in Texas. So Sarah, how, even pre-COVID, how would you get this done?
Yeah, and it's not a system that's really created for those remote workforces, unfortunately. There's really only a handful of ways to do this. One way is to have, someone go out there as a representative of the company to inspect these documents. And there are certain third-party companies that will do that for you, that you can hire someone in the state of California to go out as an employer representative to inspect these documents. The easier approach that a lot of employers are using is having employees go to a notary to essentially evaluate the accuracy of those documents. That approach might be the most straightforward. It has its own wrinkles. First of all, you have to ensure that the employee actually goes out because, again, you only have a limited time to review those documents. Also, you're sort of relying on the notary as someone who is able to properly inspect those documents. And obviously you don't have a company representative who can do that. So you're sort of putting the onus on a third party.
Yeah. So I can't just have a Zoom meeting and have them hold their document up to the Zoom.
No, it would be nice. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it solve so many problems? Unfortunately, that's a no-no. And if you've been doing that, it's not even recently with the COVID exception, there is language in that exception that basically said you could only do it if it was a public health requirement. So if you've been using this sort of as a scapegoat over the past few months, years, it was just convenient. Technically, you're not supposed to be doing that way. You are supposed to be inspecting the documents in person.
Right. So, and it's a good time to remind any federal contractor really that the I-9 requirement isn't the only requirement you have. You also are likely subject to the FAR requirement that contractors to use E-Verify if you have a contract over $150,000 that's performed in the United States. And so there should be part of a comprehensive verification of eligibility to work in the United States. It doesn't mean you have to be a United States citizen. It does mean that you have to be eligible to work in the United States. And if you haven't been using E-Verify and you're a federal contractor, use this as a reminder to audit your onboarding process and make sure that you have those documentations. A lot of folks don't get audited frequently, but when it does happen, it is like we were talking about this earlier, like an FBI raid. I mean, it's really intense, high stakes, the penalties are really significant. So I would use this as long as you're having to go out and inspect I would use this as an opportunity to reevaluate your onboarding process in light of what you've been doing since COVID and get that all straightened out before August 30th. It's going to be a heavy lift for some employers that did a lot of offboarding and onboarding during that time period.
Yeah, it is. Well, Nicole's talking about doing a review of your policies and procedures. It's always a good idea to condition any offer of employment on those I-9 requirements. So, that does one of two things. First of all, it makes clear to employees that this is a part of the onboarding process that their offer is contingent on. It also reminds your HR folks, that this is a part of the onboarding process that they need to incorporate for every employee who gets onboarded.
Right. So it's not just about getting the right documents and inspecting them, although that's really what the August 30th deadline is about, but it's also that overall standard operating procedure for, is my offer letter in order? Am I storing this information in the right place? Should I be keeping copies of the documentation like the driver's license or the passport, or should I be destroying them? Hint, hint. Like those kinds of things are all part of your standard procedure. So if you have any questions at all about the I-9 process or how you make sure that you would successfully pass an audit or the E-Verify process, Sarah and I and our team in Labor and Employment at PilieroMazza is here to help you. We hope this was an informative clocking in today, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.